Hey Weather Warriors, hope you're having a great day. There's a lot of hype about a major winter storm brewing here in the central and eastern United States. In this video, I'm going to decode whether this is true or false, and I'm going to give you my forecast on what I really think is going to happen. We're going to walk you day by day as well. But before we begin, click the subscribe button if you want in-depth hazardous weather forecast breakdowns, much more detailed than you would see on TV. And we also do forecast fact checks here. So we take the hype and I kind of give you a bird's eye view on whether this is true or false, so you can kind of get a really good idea of what's going to happen. So click that subscribe button, and we'll get right into it here. So this is my winter storm threat. This was made actually on the 16th of January, so we're talking quite a ways back, several days back. And this is what I had for the 20th through the 27th, really examining the storm, and it looks pretty good. There hasn't been a whole lot of changes. I had this area in the slight risk for a winter storm, and then the oranges were obviously moderate risk, and the pinks were high. Now it's verified out here in Washington, Oregon, and eastern Idaho. There's already been snow out there. I think this area is not going to verify as much. As you get towards Utah, Wyoming, and western Colorado, it's not going to be overly strong out there, maybe a couple snow showers. The moderate risk out here in the Midwest, from Iowa all the way up into Maine, back down into Michigan, Wisconsin, and all the way back to Iowa and Nebraska, that looks pretty good as well, although I would extend it just a little bit further south and then also a little bit further north as well. So it's actually blown up just a bit with a little more confidence. Then I put the high risk right in the core of this thing. So definitely looks pretty good overall. So now there's a couple of big changes here between the GFS and the NAM. What we're looking at is the upper level of vorticity. Then I'm going to show you the snow amounts. And this is very important because what we're going to do is, this is a Wednesday now. You see this little wave right here. Okay, these little blips of energy, essentially out ahead of them, you're going to get your snow. Okay, and you really want these closed off. So this first wave here is not closed off. You see these black lines. It's not in a circle pattern. It's more of just kind of a blip. So this first wave generally isn't overly strong vorticity. It's kind of weak. This is going to move out Wednesday around 1 p.m. and move eastward. There's going to be a patch of freezing rain and snow along with this thing, with a couple of inches, few inches possible, as it goes into Michigan, from Nebraska through about Michigan. But watch this wave come. This is around the 24th. We're talking Friday now. You see this little blip right here. It's closed off. So this is a better sign that we're having a snowstorm. There's also a wave up here. This is going to be the X factor to determine whether it's going to be a bigger snowstorm out in the East Coast as well. So right now this wave moves into the Midwest as we head towards the 24th and the 25th. The problem is there's two competing waves here. You'd like to see one wave closed off all the way, okay, if you want a big major snowstorm. And so I'm just not quite buying major snowstorm, at least for the Midwest. But as this thing moves to the east, this piece of energy finally merges, and the timing of this is critical because it merges around the 25th into the 26th as it moves into the East Coast. It really starts to ramp up as it gets off the East Coast and then kind of weakens after that. So around the 25th or the 26th. Now, the NAM computer model is a lot different. Well, there's the first wave on Wednesday, and then there's another little wave in Texas. But as this moves out onto the day on Friday here on the 24th, you can see this thing is more closed off. It's much more powerful, and it's one piece of energy. Another wave up here up in Canada, but it's more of a one piece of energy, which would increase the odds for a major snowstorm out here in the Midwest region of the United States. So the NAM is a lot more friendly if you want a big snowstorm for the Midwest. I would suspect that this wouldn't be as impressive for the East Coast if the NAM were to verify. Still would be a decent snowstorm, but I think the low pressure system would kind of shear out by the time it moved to the east, and this would be a much bigger powerhouse for the Midwest. So that would be the GFS and the NAM. Now, what are the GFS laying down? Well, the GFS has a good... For the Midwest, again, it was rather weak. There was multiple pieces of energy competing with each other, but generally speaking, it was about 3 to 6 inches, mostly in this zone right here. And then the northeastern United States, when it really ramped up, it had a good 6 to 12 inches in that region. A couple areas a little bit more, but the GFS likes to overestimate things. a little bit. How about the high-res European computer model? Well, it was a little more impressive, and I really do think that the Euro has a better handle on this. Kind of a blend between that and the NAM, though I would increase amounts here for Indiana and Ohio. But nonetheless, has a good batch of 6 to as much as about 10 inches here from Nebraska, Iowa, northern Missouri, into northeastern Kansas, out into Illinois. And then also the northeastern United States, a good 6 to 10 inches or so, based off the European computer model. And then the NAM doesn't go all the way out to the northeast yet, but it also looked much more impressive for the Midwest and Central Plains with a good 6 to 8 inches or so. And then you go out to Illinois, and look at that, much more snow in southern Illinois and eastern Missouri with 6 to 8 inches. So this is going to be the big wild card factor. I think this is going to blend between the GFS, or between the GFS and the NAM, kind of more like what the Euro showed. And I think that would increase the odds for snow a little bit more for Michigan than what the NAM says. It looks pretty similar to that map I made back ways. So let's go look at the precipitation walkie day by day here. And this is going to be very interesting to watch this. Now, the GFS, we'll look at that first. Again, what are my odds of, is this going to be a major storm? I'm really not buying the fact that it's going to be major. Borderline major for some areas, but this is just going to be a classical winter storm. Again, there's definitely some problems with this thing, but there'll be a nice little batch, moderate to borderline major, but again, mostly moderate for most areas. Now we'll go back to the GFS here. This is the 23rd. You can see the initial wave moves out. Not a whole lot of cold air with that thing, but really, as we get towards the 24th, cold air starts to sweep in that 540 line now, much farther south into the United States. It's obviously warmer near the surface and upper and mid levels here, is indicating rain above the north of the 540 line. But snow behind it. You can really see just not a whole lot of snow with that first wave. But as this thing really gets going, when those waves merge, you can see towards the East Coast around the 26th, this really goes into hyperdrive as it goes off the coast. Still not overly, impressive. Definitely not blizzard strength. 998. There's the energy is kind of nebulous, wobbly. Doesn't have the best look, but nonetheless, it will produce. Some areas could see some significant snowfall. Again, like I said, this thing's mostly going to be a moderate event, but some areas in the East Coast, really all the way across the seaboard to the about Canada, could see a good 6 to 8 inches or so with this. And then the NAM computer model, we're going to study this a little more in advance here. So we go towards the 22nd. You can see that first wave that moves out. This is a lot more impressive on the NAM when the waves actually merged a lot earlier. And you can see a decent batch of snow here on the 22nd, Wednesday, as it moves into Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota. And then it really starts to get going again, as that wave merges. There's a lot of cold air now, and then as you see central Illinois, this thing really wraps in. And the NAM is a lot stronger here for the Midwestern United States. Good plume of moisture out behind it. Still not the best moisture in the world. But like I said, it's very slow moving, and because of that, and because of those multiple waves, that wobbly kind of look, it's not going to be very heavy snow and not overly strong winds, but prolonged, and it could stack up here for the Midwestern United States. And then obviously the NAM doesn't go far enough out, but this would track into the eastern U.S. And I would suspect that would be a little bit weaker than what the GFS showed. So again, here's my thoughts. Again, I really think the European has the best handle on this thing. I would say it's overdoing amounts just a bit for the Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri region, but maybe overdoing slightly here for the northeastern United States as well. Again, generally speaking, good 6 to 8 inches or so here in the northeast, and then the Midwestern region, generally speaking, in the strongest areas in the green right there, 4 to 8 inches or so in that region. Generally speaking, I would say averaging about 4 to 6 for that region. So a moderate snowstorm is, I think there's a little bit of hype over exaggeration, but generally speaking, a moderate type of event for the Midwest and Northeastern United States. So that would be my final map right there. Again, extend this just a little bit further south, and then also extend a little bit further north. Now, if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. Really going to be upgrading a lot of stuff on this channel soon here with new graphics, new model packages, and stuff like that. So subscribe below. Hope you enjoyed this video. Share this with a friend, and we'll see you soon.